So a couple of weeks back, I did a video about Claude design by Anthropic, and we did a thorough look at the components and the advantage and disadvantage of this particular tool. And we had a clear understanding of what it can be used for and what you can actually do using Claude Anthropic design tool. And if you've not seen that video, the video is on my YouTube channel. You can do well to watch it, give it a thumbs up and like, and you can also share to people that you feel would learn from it. And if you're just coming across my video, my name is Faith. I'm a designer and I am reviewing AI tools that can actually make your work fast. In this video, I'll be talking about Claude design and Stitch AI by Google. Now we're going to be comparing these two software and see which one is better for individual review and which one is, you know, good if you're trying to build something, well, I say production level or something more in-depth and you can use for design to code. So this is what we're going to be going through in this video. So stay tuned and watch to the end. So when we talk about Claude design and Stitch design, one thing I want us to understand that these tools are really the same, but also different. Now, when I mean the same is that you can use these two tools to generate interface for your product. You can use it to design interfaces for your product. You can use it to, you know, ideate, conceptualize an idea, or a lot of things that has to do with the beginning of a product. However, they are actually different in certain ways. Now, before I even go to the functionality, let's talk about the accessibility in terms of cost. First off, for Claude AI, you can't actually have access to Claude design if you are not subscribed. That means you have to pay for it, and then you also spend tokens, so it's not necessarily free. But Stitch on the other end is actually a free tool. When I mean free is like, as long as you have a Google account, you can go to Stitch, you can input your prompt, it's actually free. And in that case, if you're not someone that is trying to build something more in-depth, you're not trying to look for design that you're going to probably convert to code, which is one advantage of Claude, you don't necessarily have to spend the subscription fee that Claude demands. Again, I'm saying that if it's just design that you're looking for, if it's just trying to ideate or you're just trying to look for something really quick to fix, I would not recommend you going to Claude design to pay for the subscription. If it's just design that you want to use it for, I would highly say you should just use Stitch. So another major factor we want to consider is the output speed. I inputted the same prompt from Stitch into Claude design, and the output generation time actually is different. While Stitch, on the other hand, once you enter your prompt, you start seeing your wireframe being generated and the interface being generated. Claude design, on the other hand, takes more time, and this is because it's trying to understand the system, the workflow, every part of your product. And while Stitch feels like a rapid visual generation tool, Claude feels more like a structured product thinking. Now that leads me to my next point, which is the output quality. Now when we take a look at Stitch design, it is fast. The output is quite fast, but like the layouts are actually generic. They are clean but generic interfaces, and as a designer I'll be like, okay, you know what, well, we can work with you, but the point is they get the job done. Stitch get the job done. It helps you quickly iterate and bring it to life. But when you look at the interface, you're like, nah, it doesn't have this modern feel to it. It's just really generic. Why Claude, on the other hand, the design feels more intentional. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the designs are perfect, but like it kind of feels modern. It has this modern feel with it. Even though if you do not indicate the typography you want to use or some other elements like colors or whatever that is in your prompt, it might end up just using basic or default Claude colors and typography for it. However, you can actually make edits to that quickly, but the design feels more intentional and tailored to the system at which you are looking for. Like I feel like it just has this more intentionality with it because the prompt I put into this to actually talk about a wearable. However, Stitch, on the other hand, gave me an app that is for yoga, does not even talk about the wearable, but Claude actually addresses the wearable and even asks me questions while I was inputting prompt. Ask me questions that are essential, the names. Stitch did not really send you. It just went ahead and created the interface. So when it comes to the output quality, I would say Claude design is still very much better, or okay, or better than Stitch. Another thing with the output quality is that if you input a word for word prompt, and when I mean word for word prompt, if you're trying to design a layout and then you put the words that you want in certain sections, Stitch has probability of helping you change the word. I think I've seen this while I was trying to think of a landing page. I was testing the app and I tried generating a landing page. I inputted a prompt for it to generate the landing page, and I included instructions for each sections. Stitch went ahead and still do what Stitch wants to do. Even though it kind of like give you an output. It didn't change the entire thing, but it actually changed the wordings, even though my prompt said don't change the wordings. But Claude, on the other hand, I think if you are generating interfaces or mobile interfaces and you go as far as explicitly explaining what you want on certain faces or what you want in certain nav bars, or you are just like, you have detail with your prompt, and you're not just prompting generate a so this thing have for me, it's going to give you a well thought out output. Another thing I want us to take a look at is the editing and workflow. Now, when it comes to Stitch, the moment you instruct it to generate certain prompt, it cannot do that really fast, and you see your interface and then it generates it really fast. Again, I did this with a prompt. The initial prompt I entered was for you to generate a wearable for a certain set of people, and the next prompt I used was for you to modify it to specify a targeted set of people. It was actually really fast, under a few minutes. Again, the same generic interface, but it actually did it really fast. And I did the same thing for Claude. Now, Claude took time to actually get to understand and see how it matches with the initial thing that I was working on. It took a while, but then it actually kind of like gave an input that was quite impressive. And you know, you see that the fact that it kind of like paid attention to the little things and the little details in the interface. So Claude design feels more iterative and conversational rather than Stitch, which is more like input output. So another thing is Claude has this quick edit feature that you can actually use to edit the little things, not major component things like spacing or typography on the platforms. And I think I mentioned that in my previous video. Again, go watch it if you've not watched it. But yeah, you can actually quickly edit without having to waste your prompt in re-instructing. Then you know that when you're re-instructing, it has to do with either creating more screens or you're trying to modify. Again, when it comes to Claude design, you really do have to be intentional with your prompt or the input or the things. You need to ensure that it contains the essential thing you want to talk about. Another point I want us to understand is design system and product thinking. To be honest, I feel Claude design takes more accolades on this one, why Stitch on the other end is just for generating screens. Claude design is thinking of, you know, the product at large and seeing how it's scalable and something that you can build. I think that's what they're working towards. For this case, I'd say Claude design actually takes the lead in this case, why Stitch is just you generating screens. So if you're building a real product that may eventually scale, I think starting with Claude design is actually advisable. So lastly, one of the things and major things that I think is a factor to consider is the fact that when it comes to Stitch, you can actually export the interfaces you generate on Stitch to Figma. And this is an amazing feature because if it generates all the screens for you and you're not pleased with the layout, you can actually just export and then edit on Figma, which I love. I really love, because if Claude is like that with the way it's doing the entire thing, so if I want to make adjustment, I can just, you know, export to Figma. But Claude does not have that ability yet, or that feature yet. You can actually export Claude designs to Canva. However, I do not understand how you want to edit the interfaces on Canva yet, but yes, you can actually export the Claude design to Canva. And one major thing is you can directly export it to your Claude code and generate the code, which kind of bring me to my final verdict. And this is, if you're someone that you're currently at the start of thinking, you're thinking of a product to build, you don't have a paid subscription on Claude Design yet, I would highly recommend you using Stage Design for your ideation to see if whatever it is you have an idea can be bring to life and how it should be done. I would say that you can just use Stage to just, pour out every other thing that you're thinking, and then you can re-instruct without having to pay and then worry about token usage when you're re-instructing. Now, even if they're going to put a limit on Stage, which I don't think there is for now, you would be able to actually use it without having to pay, and then you see the results. If you want to modify it, you can go from there. And if you think, okay, you know what, this actually looks nice, I want to build something scalable using AI as a start, you can then move to Claude Design. Right now, if you're also a solo designer that is looking to just look for something to ideate and do it really fast, again, you don't necessarily, the only thing you want is iterate. Like, I mean, if it's the only thing you want is just ideate interfaces, I would just say you should use Stage. I wouldn't necessarily say you should pay for Claude subscription. But if you're looking at the fact that, the fact that I can convert my interface to code, people that are trying to build small or short interfaces or short MVPs, things like that, you can actually use Claude Design because then you can export it to code, right? But aside from that, I would just ask you to stick to using Stage for your interface generation, although it can be generic, and if you can actually pay for the subscription for Claude, do well to go for it. So that is all I have to say about the software, and do let me know in the comment section what you think about these two products and if you've used them before and which one you prefer over the other.